All right, I have to do this one. We just done an Abbasid versus HRE matchup the other day. By the way, if you want to catch that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, check the playlist, because it's definitely going to be in there after you finish this one. But I thought this would be good to see again, because the last time we watched Abbasid versus HRE, yeah, Camelot is tasting like sadness. Let's just put it like that. But this time is different. Here's why, folks. We've got Hera versus Marine Lord. Top 10 players, both of them. In fact, at the time of recording, Hera now up to rank 3 on the leaderboards, only behind Beastie and Lucifron, both of who have not played on those accounts in a week. So, you see where this is going quickly. Hera's kind of like the hot dog at the sec. We'll see if he can continue that streak, though, as he rides up here on Altai, up against, of course, Marine Lord in the red. Over here playing as the Abbasids. For those unfamiliar, Official Kick W is one of Marine Lord's accounts. And, of course, these are both sitting in the top 10, Marine Lord and Official Kick W, with about 465, 470 games between them, both of them having plus 70% win rates. Meanwhile, Hera has been hard grinding on one account. Hera's account sits with a 60% win rate, but that's because I think he was suffering a lot when the game first came out. I think a lot of concepts that fit for Age of Empires 2 were not fitting for AoE 4 in his mind, and he was trying to apply them as if it was Age of Empires 2. But since then, he's adapted, he's learned, he understands the game a lot better, and what do you really expect out of one of the best players from AoE 2? Just proving in AoE 4 he can compete here as well. But this one I thought would be interesting just because, like I said, before when we saw this matchup, a certain player relied a little bit too heavily on camels and was disappointed by the results. So I'm intrigued to see in this game that shouldn't be just a one and done in 10 minutes affair. I want to see what an Abbasid player can do, right? What is their play? What is their kind of later game timing? What can they actually have in their composition? Because really in the late game, something I've talked about before is that Abbasid's only real call to glory in late game seems to be archers with their composite bows, right? With the reduced reload time of 25%. Everything else kind of feels like a hot steaming pile of crap. I mean, you've got phalanx with the spears, which is kind of cool. A melee unit with more range is always nice because melee feels underwhelming a lot of the time in the current meta. But overall, outside of like the cruel, as I call it, there's not much of them. And what I mean by the cruel, for those unfamiliar, the cruel refers to the ability to build siege weapons in the field. It allows you to, if you leverage an advantage in the field as the Abbasids, you can quickly reinforce your siege lines, right? As long as you keep a trickle out of infantry units of some type, you keep crawling forward towards your enemy's base as you replace Mangonels, Springolds, all these type of units. Which is why, for me, like, in my eyes, I think Abbasid tend to peak in Castle Age, not Imperial Age. It's all about hitting that quick timing to castle off of a TC boom, and then your next step is to try and just start amassing clump infantry to go out and build Mangonels and Springolds. Understanding that your opponent, even if they reach Castle Age as well, remember, for comparison, outside the Mongols and the Abbasids, the only way that most of these civs can actually build siege weapons is they have to drop the siege workshop, which costs 300 wood, and then they have to slowly produce those units out. Of course, the rare exception out of those two I gave of Mongols and Abbasids, who can both build out in the field, is, of course, the Chinese, with their clock tower, not only able to get 50% more health, but also with the overseeing of Imperial officials, can produce those units out 3 times as fast. So that's where the edge is. And in this matchup, Hera is going to be playing maybe a civ that could be at disadvantage depending on how they shape up. If they're on even ground, both very static going into that Castle Age, I would give him the edge. But I think a trick that HRE players have in their pocket, and one that I've seen Batiste and Hart utilize a lot, and I think Hera maybe is getting wise to himself, is there's a big power spike for HRE at the beginning of the Castle Age off the back of stables drops, right, of stable spams. My only concern is going for that might be a bit of a bait, considering you're playing up against the Abbasids, who, as we just mentioned before, can get the phalanx pretty cheaply and get that additional range on those spearmen to make them a cost-effective solution to the cavalry, as if they weren't already. So open up, though, we are going to see the racks being built very early in prep to go up into the eco wing for the feudal. It should just be a few spears out. I think the concept in the eyes of Marine Lord here is that he's the only one likely to aggress in the early stage of the game. So he wants to give himself the potential to breach Hera and end the game by 10, 15 minutes. But if you can't, obviously this rack serves a purpose later when you spam ban arms, and having a small spear force out in the field isn't a bad thing per se. But yeah, tech up. Should be quite close overall, actually. Yeah, only several seconds splitting them apart. So Hera's in 15 seconds, so Marine Lord. And now with Archon Chapel, nice placement. He will drop the mill here. So not choosing to go Pro Scouts, an interesting deviation. We have seen a lot of HRE players engage with Pro Scouts because it allows you to keep that condensed economy under the safety of your TC. But instead, he's going to move out to the fields. This does leave him a little bit exposed because he hasn't built an outpost. And also, look at the lines. He has both his wood line and his food line right next to each other, pushed forward towards his opponent's base. Now, if he was worried that Marine Lord was going to build into the stables, this would be really bad. But it looks like Hera has got eyeballs on. He sees the spears. Now, he will have to get some sort of early unit out. But now he has a very comfortable choice. He could sidestep into an archery range and shut out everything that Marine Lord is doing right now. And yeah, even give himself a backup plan, right? If he gets forced off the front, he'll have access to the berry bushes at the back. And there's the outpost. Understands that his opponent does have some military presence and he has to respect it. I like this move. And this is the power of vision, right? Think how many players would have preemptively dropped an outpost and nothing would have came. Or think how many players wouldn't have dropped an outpost until the problem was already there. This is the power of scouting and the importance of vision game. Because he goes in and he gets eyeballs on what's coming, half a minute to a minute ahead of it arriving, he's able to get defenses in place ahead of time, ensuring there's no damage to his economy lines. Take note, folks, because too many players don't do this, and it leads to a lot of awkward engagements, which don't favor the players that play blind. And is Marine Lord going to keep building? So he's into the archers now. He stuck this. Hera didn't see, so archers are going to hide in the stealth forest in the meantime, and Hera can't get too close. A few archers, and you might end up losing the scout. At the moment, it's only one, though, so you're not that concerned just yet. Not that you know you need to be concerned. And he's going on the stone? Wow. Okay, this is different. We have not actually seen an HRE player open like this. We see it maybe by arriving in Castle Age. Some players feel they're stuck in Castle, so they'll build into a second TC. But never before you're even at Castle do we tend to see these HRE players going for multiple TCs. But that's exactly what should be happening here once Hera optimizes his stone gathering. Wait, what? Does he just want a stone wall? If so, where? I'm kind of confused what the plan is with this. What did... Wait, what did he spend? Oh, arrow slits. Okay, that makes more sense. There we go. That's an interesting sidestep play. Of course, it is going to be quite nice to have the natural defenses in there, right? Not needing the garrison. But not a lot of players would have done this. Not a lot of players would have dragged their villagers all the way over there just to get a one-time drop-off. We'll see if it pays off. If it does, it's one of those kind of small microcosms within a grander game that actually can make a big difference. Villagers trying to burn this down. A few archers coming out. A little bit late on this switch up, but he has got 2 archery ranges already. Remember, HRE at this stage is going to be able to sustain 3 archery ranges if they want, but it seems like he's content with 2. And he will have the number advantage very quickly on the home field, and the fact that Marine Lord only has 1 archery range to that too. So Scout forces him away, and that's a big wasted investment from Marine Lord. So your opponent basically spends the same to get the military infrastructure in place. The difference is you already built 2 military buildings yourself. So your opponent has now countered you out by building the same amount of military buildings, so same wood cost, but then you've gone and spent 300 wood, which you did keep alive for the moment, but now has next to no value considering your units are now all counted until castle, right? And this is the power of archers, by the way. It's why archery range is a lot behind feudal. Because a lot of what early game players do, outside of ones that have access to different units, i.e., for example, HRE, who can get early man-at-arms, they're stuck with horsemen, spears, archers. And if you already revealed a hand of spear and archer, there is no way at this stage in the game you're likely to go and drop a stable as well. It's such a costly split of your focus, right? Like, it's a lot of wood invested at this stage, and more importantly, it means that you're not ramping up production. Your opponent, meanwhile, already has 2 archery ranges, so he would already be outnumbering you on 1 count. Nice little play from him, from Marine Lord here, though. Look at this. It looks like something out of an RPG adventure, right? Let's head up the hill, let's head around. You could just see, like, goblins on the way up, maybe. Such a funky spawn for that relic. Should we point out that these relics, look at this. Marine Lord, he's wise to what he needs to do here. He's up against HRE. He's not going to surrender these easily. Did miss this one over here. Doesn't even know it's there. But the way he's defended these other ones is very impressive. And Hera's going to be frustrated because he's almost ready for a tech up. By the way, guys, this is the power of HRE. Like I said, you don't have to just be a castle age boom. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit delayed on your tech timing, but he's got a military force. He's present. He's active in the early game. He gives himself options while still scaling better than the Abbasid player can. Well, he needs to regroup his archers. Bad trades because he just didn't have them all at the front of there. So we have got one relic here, second one over here, third here, fourth up here. And am I blind or are we missing a fifth? Oh, no, it's down here. There we go. Wow, that's really condensed. A little bit biased towards Hera, but not insanely. It's reasonable for both players to reach over to these two southern relics. I think this is a fairly balanced map. And you might even argue the northern one slightly favors Marine Lord. So overall, considering how BS some of these spawns can be with the relic placements on Altai, this is a reasonable one. Archers continue to mass. Now the stable gets dropped as well. So giving himself some options. I think Hera is prepping for the night spam. I don't know if you want to go hardcore into it with Spearman being present already, though. There you go. Gary once again. Regnitz Cathedral now being built. No switch over. No innovation here. Everyone accepts Regnitz Cathedral as one of the biggest bosses at the landmarks of the Third Age. Not much that really competes with it. Definitely not the pitiful choice on the other side, which of course is a landmark that allows you to push out 5 units up once every generation. So basically it saves you 5 military buildings, which means you have to find value in it in like the first 3 or 4 minutes, or it's worthless. And that's why we never see it. Here's the Hargreave Palace or something it's called. Engagement. Archer number does favor Hera. Spears are going to be baited in a little bit. They have to back away, and he's going to lose a lot of them on the exit. These trades, Hera just jiggling his opponent and microing him perfectly. Now, there we go. Emergency repairs. The true power of the HRE against these early game rushes. It's why you didn't see Marine Lord fully commit, right? He left himself some scalability, but he is no doubt behind Hera at this stage. I like that he played for this timing because, as we said, Imperial Age doesn't really improve the game for Abbasids over Castles, so Castle's where you peak. So you need to find pressure now. He wants to slow down the HRE, fails to do so to a grand extent, because although he did force his opponent to build military units early, in even numbers, he managed to take the lead, right? So now Marine Lord is going to be forced away, already behind, and if he wants to try and defend onto these relics, it might become problematic considering his opponent now has a bigger army. An army that hasn't really spotted the problem yet. These walls came up afterwards, so he's going to move out and be delayed. And that's the importance, right? That's also another reason Marine Lord done this. He didn't want his opponent to get vision on what happened around these relics. Had he done that, you may have seen a switch up and more units coming out sooner. Maybe a few spearmen or something like that to try and burn through these walls. It means that now you're going to be delaying Hera by an extra half a minute, whatever, on each of these relic pickups. And that's going to stunt his peak timing, right? And that gives you a bigger buff, a little bit more wiggle room, shall we say, to exploit the castle age we just talked about, right? It's critical that you force your opponent to stay in castle longer if you want to win this as the Abbasids. This ram, I mean, this is like one of the most value rams I've seen in a while. It hasn't really sunk anything, but it never dies, so have to give it credit where credit's due. And I love this outpost placement, by the way. In the Stealth Forest, prevents Sacred Site capping, the one that's most likely to be contested as well. And by the way, if we look at Sacred Sites, you might notice something a little bit uniquely different about this one. I believe it's a 2-spawner. Usually we get 3 spawns, right? We get one in the south outskirts here, one in the northern outskirts here, one in the center. And they're usually pivoted, one being closer to the X's base and one closer to Y's bases. But this generation overall is cool. I love a lot of things about this. The double Sacred Site as well as the relic locations. I would say actually maybe the one difference, the Sacred Site could have been in the north, and then the relics could be like this, and then you have a split of attention. But it is cool, this concept of forcing both players to pay attention to the same area of the map, right? And thus lead to more contest over that area compared to that split where, oh, I'll take 50, you take 50, and then we'll fight later on. So, Reload almost up now. It's going to be in the Culture Wing. So, no shenanigans here. But this is kind of his peak, right? Like we said, I don't see him duking it out well in an ultra late game situation if any sort of dent isn't made into Hera's lines, right? If he doesn't slow him down. Because if you do go Imperial Age, you're talking about Elsback Palace, you're talking about ridiculous gathering rates, and you're talking about elite man-at-arms just mincing you in the blink of an eye. This takes so long to get through. Remember, it's only one stable, so it's not like he's quick to do this. That's why he's building more stables now. He needs to be through this quicker. Wood lines are a little bit frustrating, actually, for Hera. He's got one out here, but it's so far across to his side. Compare that to what Marine Lord got. Yes, his economy is on the front, but it's more condensed, right? In these choke points. The only thing he has to worry about is this high ground here. Outside that, this is a much easier area to scale your wood lines in, right? Compared to Hera, that's going to go through these tree lines and then have to drag all the way across and then expand his infrastructure to the southeast instead. And keep in mind that while that isn't truly at the front of his base, it's halfway to the front, right, east side, and also it's more exposed from flanks to the south. Flanks that could be feasible considering Marine Lord has caused so much frustration with these wood lines here. With these palisade wood lines here, rather. So pressure on again. Hera kind of revealed his hand, moving the archers out. Marine Lord wanted to make a move. However, Hera is back in position, and he has more archers than his opponent on the home field. Here we go again. Are you ready for the exciting Baron Graham siege, guys? You want to see why this doesn't work against HRE? Well, hold yourself steady. You might be blown away, guys. Here it comes. Damage done. Has to run away. Even if you got him low enough, you know he's going to repair it. But now the Mangonel play. Marine Lord, this could give him the edge. Hera, I don't think that's the formation, my friend. Wedge formation is not good. You want this staggered. It's almost like he's pointing this way to my base, over here. There you go. Back in. Wow, look at the damage. It's so impressive. Wow, except... Wait, what? Hera? Hera? That's a whoopsie-daisy, Angel. Forgot to repair there. So he lets the outpost go down. Shouldn't have, though. Moving in with the Knights. Trying to burn through the Mangonel. And now the Knights can run past. They could try and get around on the Archers because now the Spearmen, they've been rinsed. And you have to retreat. And Marine Lord has a long way to run. Knights. Still not focused down that battering ram. Archers. Firing upon each other. The Spearmen are gone again. There's not enough to deter you. Hera's paranoid, though. Remember, he doesn't have vision in the Stealth Forest. He could be baited in, and then there could be Spearmen waiting here. So he backs off, defends his base. And the eco count. Hera now 5 behind Marine Lord. But remember, if Hera can find a way to scale into Imperial Age, he'll be fully recovered. Important detail, as always. Still working on the gold. So far, how many? Oh, my God, only 1. He got delayed so much, and I think, oh my, no, Marine Lord. He actually built a mosque, so he's gathering up now. And this is probably the next easiest one for Hera to get. He was never able to breach in the north, and he's going to realize too late. Oh, this is painful. He never even knew about this. Right, Marine Lord scout this later, but Hera never found this, so he's right now questioning where the hell is the 5th relic? Such a scummy spawn for him, and now another Imam coming out into the south. And this might be one of those depressing situations for an HRE player where the Abbasid gets his hands on 3, possibly 4 of the relics. Oh, but the economy exposed. Hera moves in with the Knights. Should snipe out 4, 5, maybe 6 of these villagers. He's going to force them all backing away. And he will spot the bad news. Hold on a sec. There's a relic in this building. I've been scammed. I've been bamboozled. Yet scan more. Outpost going down from Hera. A lot of workers being risked here, but he needs to. Remember, he just drained the gold mine behind his base. He doesn't have the trickle required from the Regnitz Cathedral, courtesy of it only having 1 inside. So he needs to find gold elsewhere. That's why he's expanded into the south, and he's going to have to get on this one in the north. Because remember, one big thing about the HRE, the reason why Regnitz Cathedral is so important is they go for a lot of these quality type units, right? Siege weapons, the Knights, even later on in the Man-at-Arms and the Langsneck. These all require huge influx of gold into your economy. Springles. Looking for the Mangonel. He's got vision now. Oh, Mangonel shot onto the Archers. Good hit. Hits deep into the line, and that's going to give the edge to Marine Lord. It's going to force Hera back and away, and he can't stand a fight now. He needs to be careful. However, the Knights, they see an opportunity. The Spearmen aren't here. We'll charge in. Brace to try and slow them down so they get stuck in the face of the Spearmen in the meantime with that bonus damage, and so many Knights are dying. But so many Spears as well. And the Archers, there's going to be enough of them with the Knights to run through the remaining of Marine Lords. Marine Lord needs to be careful as he backs up. Has got Spearmen coming out from the Stealth Forest here. Will engage upon those Knights again. And all of them almost dead now, so bad trade all of a sudden. Hera needs to back away. Instead, he hangs around. Spearman's really not making the difference for him. Knights charging again on the side, but Spearman quick across, and all of a sudden Hera running out of Knights to hold his front line. Running out of bodies to throw at this fight. Gold retrieval is good, but no scaling still for Hera. Hera is hard stuck in the castle age, and this is all benefiting Marine Lord. We already highlighted this before. Remember, when you're playing Abbasid, you want to drag out the castle. You want to hold in the castle longer. It is your most powerful point in the game. And for the HRE in this matchup, the way it's going, the lack of gold trickle is getting the weakest point for him. Right now, Hera stroking his chin. It's like, if I could just find a way up into the Imperial Age, I could scale my economy. I wouldn't need those relics. There'd be so much to gather across the map. I could be ahead. But it's so hard to achieve. And while he's struggling to achieve, Marine Lord has already tapped into that tier 2 on the Golden Age. So now look at that. 15% gathering rate for all resources, as well as the increased research speed. Becoming quite the formidable force. Yaul, what he said. He said, we got to go soon or we're going to lose this game. Mangonels, a few more Knights. Not as many Knights as you'd like. Hera, you know, he built multiple stables. 3, I think it was in the end. So he thought he was going to have 2 or 3 of the relics by now. And if he did, he can afford these. But right now, he's struggling. Now switch up into a few crossbowmen. Man-at-arms as well. That's a problem. You've only got archers. Spearman already lost. And that is going to be the edge for Marine Lord to chase down Hera. Hera has to retreat. Tries to move the Spearmans to cut him off. Won't be able to quite get in range, and they fall back into the Stealth Forest with the edge here. Mangonel not able to get a shot off. Need to be careful. The Knights will back them up just in time. But he saw the switch over, right? He understands that Marine Lord is going to now start going heavy into crossbows as well. And that is going to be a problem for Hera. Hera himself hasn't even started to push out crossbows. He's going to need to now that he sees the man-at-arms showing. And that's another gold cost in his base, right? That's another problem for him that he needs to solve. And you can see how desperate he is. 25 people working on gold compared to the 14 of Marine Lord. And Marine Lord, he's building gold surplus because his army is simple. It's archers, it's the spearmen, right? The man-at-arms cost only a little bit of gold. And the occasional crossbowmen don't cost much either, only 40. His main investment are these, the big bad boys, the Mangonels, the Springles, and right now he has the siege advantage. The numbers are on his favor, and we said about this, right? He's already saved resources on not building a siege workshop, and he's able to build them faster. Moving in. Mangonel shot. Not as deep as he was looking. He went too far. He went for the backside. But still decent casualties done here. Springles trying to snipe out. Mangonel down to half HP. Needs to get 2 more shots out. 1 more would be good. So Springles gets rid of the Mangonel. Now the edge is with Marine Lord. Marine Lord on the home field with his Mangonel hitting into the Arch Alliance in the meantime. Is going to force a pullback by Hera. Tries to engage. Knights are being delayed on the move through though. The man-at-arms last so long at the front. And that means the Mangonel is going to get more shots out. And not that many archers left. Down to 16 compared to the 18. Knights are through now, though, onto the range line, but more man-at-arms coming in the meantime from Marine Lord. And it looks like these Knights are not going to be long for the world. Springles trying to move to the front line, but that's not what you need anymore. It's not the Mangonel threat. It's the numbers in the clump at the center. The infantry are too strong, and Marine Lord will push back Hera. He tries to back away, but even these measly archers are doing decent damage against the Knights when they get in range. Looks like he's going to back up for the moment. Sacred Site Control is only 1 right now. Second one hasn't even been attempted to be capped, which is kind of surprising, really. I feel like Marine Lord, did he misclick here? He could have easily taken this down here. And then he could have put the pressure onto Hera, but instead, he's kind of content with the fact he got 4 of the relics. This truly is one of the most painful situations to be in if you're a HRE player. This is what you do most definitely never want to see. These expansions, Hera getting more desperate. Pocket expansions, pocket ecos like this, you're not that threatened, right? The layout of the map, the static forces. But you are still paranoid that something could turn up any day of the week and ruin your day. Well, today it won't be the scout. Meanwhile, on the center, Mangonel, now 3 Springles to the 4 Springles. Hera not really able to afford the Mangonel spam, right? It's costly. He needs to have Springle numbers on his side. And he will in this situation. And it looks like he'll snipe them out quite nicely. We'll switch over for the final round of shots and doesn't even lose 1 for his trouble. Marine Lord Doesn't pressure further. He did notice that there were no Mangonels being shot at him, so he felt like he was confident enough to take out one building, but he doesn't want to risk one coming out, getting baited too deep, and then being chased down, right? He's being respectful here. But now, that's what we're waiting for. Sacred Site finally capped. He feels confident that he can start to pressure hard, and with a secondary TC being dropped, he will continue to outscale Hera. Now with the eco count at 70 to Hera being at 72. Did recover somewhat, sniping out a few villages. But he's definitely going to be behind in the coming minutes. And as we said, without those relics, he doesn't have the surplus gold. In fact, because all the relics are in Marine Lord's side, right? Because he has 4 in his temple. Look at the trickle. He's got more income per minute, and he's got 1,500 surplus gold right now. He is loving life. And also remember, this secondary TC expansion isn't even greedy when you're pressured on the food front on both sides, right? Because you're playing as the Abbasids. All you're doing is resetting to the food cost of a normie Civ, right? Because usually you pay 50 food, but because of fresh foodstuffs, only 25 food for each villager as the Abbasids. The only risky part for him is he is running out of wood fast, and that is one of the big limiting factors on Altai, especially this generation. As you can see, only 2 primary wood lines on each side, and then it's just stealth forests. And this is where it could get a little bit flimsy. Another reason, by the way, why Marine Lord has built this second TC. Because once he's through these wood lines, he needs to have surplus villages to risk on these more dangerous areas. More Hera risking a lot on the front here under this gold vein. Already drained the southern one dry. And you can feel it's getting a little bit desperate for it. Army is building. Now a switch over into crossbowmen, a composite, almost 50-50 split, exactly 50-50 split, with a few knights for the flank around at the end. He looks pretty comfortable for the next fight. Meanwhile, siege weapons for Marine Lord, it's only 1. Like we said, the wood's a limiting factor. He's weak right now because he has to switch over on the food front, as we're seeing, but also on where the wood lines are. And that means he's vulnerable. That means he's not able to push out as many of these siege weapons as he would like at this stage. And it means that it's going to be very hard to find value for the Mangonels when there's 5 Springles out in the field for Hera. It's really come down to these central gold veins. The reasoning behind trying to get into this one from Marine Lord, it's not even about you needing gold. It's about Hera needing gold. You want to stop him reaching it. You understand that he's starved because you see that you've got 4 relics in your temple, right? You've got them banked in the moss, so you're content with your state in the game. You need to make Hera's uncomfortable. You can't allow him to keep getting these soft reset points, which is also gaining ground every time, remember, as he continues to chain these outpost networks out towards these gather points. Nice wraparound with the man-at-arms. Not quick enough to chase down the villagers, though. Meanwhile, on the southern side, Knight tried to raid in. We'll look for decap, and I don't think it's going to be quick enough before the Lancers reach. And even more outposts going down. And the paranoia is setting in for Marine Lord. He can't give up much more ground before his base is going to be exposed. And Hera, he's on the clock, remember. It's been 2 or 3 minutes so far. He cannot wait too long to try and decap one of these sacred sites. These Springles, they're looking for it. Mangonel's a big, juicy value for them. Nobody find it just yet, though. And the Knights, they did take a detour. Will Marine Lord try to snipe anything here, though? So the man-at-arms are distracted a lot of Knights. You should know that the mobile element of your opponent's force isn't there anymore. And with the Springles being so far up, you could punish this. He tries to move out, but it's too little too late. Springles are back behind the safety of the outposts. And the archers will move in. Crossbows as well. Chase in. Springles striping out on the Mangonels. 1 left, and they can't get the foe hit. It gets out of range. The problem is the man-at-arms are in so deep now. What value can they find? Mangonel shot. It's good. Doesn't hit for max value, but definitely does some damage here. However, the man-at-arms army is going to be rinsed by Hera's forces. And with the Mangonel gone, Marine Lord no longer has the edge. And Hera, he's going to take the main fight after that. How do you replace this army quick enough? Marine Lord, trying to trickle out the troops, has some Lancers coming. But he's lost the Archer Battalion, he's lost the Man-at-Arms Battalion, he's not harassing the back lines anymore, and this means that Hera can cancel out the Sacred Site timer. He can go and decap it right now. And so many Knights. Yes, he hasn't had these relics at his disposal, but oh boy, has that not slowed him down. He's ramped up hard into that gold gathering compared to Marine Lord, and he's replacing what he spends every time. Meanwhile, Marine Lord, with this ridiculous surplus, still no use for it. And no army to defend him right now against this many Knights. And this might be raiding time for Hera. He waited long enough. He came under fire several times, but he turtled up. He bided his time, and finally, he's the one breaching Marine Lord's base. And look at this. The wood line, as it's being depleted, there's not enough room to protect all the villagers. He's going to try and move them away. How deep do you chase, though? He's not going to chase deep for this. He's going to hang around in the TC. He could siege this down quickly. This is an exposed generation point, right? The villagers are coming out here. There's not enough firepower here to repel you either. You could easily siege this down. Instead, he goes deeper. Wants to cut off the reinforcements as they funnel in. With the crossbowman here, with the knight, should be able to do exactly that, finding max value out of his army, decapping the sacred site in the center in the meantime. Might even see an aggressive keep drop at this rate if he had the stone, but he's even ignoring it. He hasn't got the surplus. It would have been a cool move, and he definitely is in position for it, but I don't think he expected to breach this easily. He understood Marine Lord has shown weakness, but you don't expect to be in his base this quick. And now that you are, look at the damage to the TC, how quickly it's going to fall. And remember, there's a trickle out. More knights are coming in. They're not even all here yet. And well, I think we know which one of the Crusades this was. Was it the fourth one I'm thinking of? I think that was the one they won. Someone's going to quote me wrong on that. I don't remember. I played Strong Crusade. I forget which one it was. But this is the one Crusade that went well, folks. Hera is in the right timeline to win against the Abbasids. And oh my god, that's desperate point. Camel Riders. Yeah, okay, fair enough. There's a lot of knights, but I don't know if that's going to be good enough. If there's going to be enough of them. Yeah, they get that bonus damage. Yeah, they reduce the damage to these knights by 20%, but there is so many. This is a Knight Zerg factor of 5 out of 5. And the failure to get the keep up is going to be denied. Marine Lord, he expanded another TC back here, but he cannot complete the keep quick enough here. Okay, apparently Crusade 1, 2, and 3 went well. Yeah, 4th might have been the recapturing. I think that's where it started to go bad. This is an early Crusade, though. Hera, he's in the heydays. The days where they managed to get their hands on Jerusalem. And Marine Lord, he might have to look into a different game to be the comeback factor, to be the Crusades where the Westerners fail, because this is not what it's looking like right now. It's looking like the Westerners are full speed ahead non-stop. And even more villages out. How many can lose, though? He'll get the keep up. He'll garrison the remainder. Only 3 get inside, though. And Hera now with an 8 villager lead. Make that 9, 10. It's just increasing. The raiding never stops. He's lost the 4 TC. He gets the keep down on the back, but there's only so many resources back here, and you've lost control of the center. And non-stop from Hera. Runs straight past that fort. Deeper into the lines. He knows that there is foodies in the back here working on the farms. And so many abandoned farms on the front. Good God. I mean, Marine Lord, he hasn't tapped out, but how do you recover right now? You've got a little bit of surplus food right now. You can get some initial units out. But Hera is just non-stop. He's falling back to regroup now. But in the meantime, the stragglers still in the base of Marine Lord are keeping him from gathering in the back. And that is stunting him entirely. You can see he's drained all his resources now. His income is sinking. And this game might be all but done. Nice snipe out in the Mangonels. Few villagers being rebels in the back. But in the end, that is not going to be enough to convince him he can draw this one back. Game is going to end. Hera will take it. What do we really expect here, guys? There's HRE in his name, and he's HRE in the game.